11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Not exactly conventional in the National Hockey League, but it's been working for the Winnipeg Jets. Scott Billeck joins me now from the Winnipeg Sun here on Bonfire Sports. Scott, there are pros and cons to the Winnipeg Jets running 11 forwards and 7D. Let's get into a couple of the pros. And the first really allows the Winnipeg Jets to take full advantage of one of their most dangerous forwards.
Yeah, his name is Nikolai Ehlers, and fans have clamored for a long time to have him playing more ice time, during games. This is a guy that drives offense. He's great on zone exits, zone entries, and he can put the puck in the back of the net, and he's so creative. And one of the things that this 11-7 kind of setup has done for the Jets over the past number of games has allowed him to play more minutes. Nikolai Ehlers is playing 2.5 minutes more per night than he was last season. And this is something that people have wanted to see, and it's working. Ehlers has 2 goals, 4 assists, and 6 points on the season. He's kind of coming to his own. He's playing on a different look lineup right now, or a different look line. But the thing is with this is it's getting him on the ice more, and it's not taking away from his power play time or any of those other types of things. It's just straight ice time for him, which is allowing him to do what he does best, and that's drive this offense on this Winnipeg Jets team.
Not to mention Pierre-Luc Dubois, who extended his point-scoring streak to 8 games in that shootout win over the the Dallas Stars. Scott, another pro in this is that we know the Winnipeg Jets' greatest talent depth area is their forward group, and going in 11-7 helps that area as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the biggest thing about this is that, the Jets have kind of diversified themselves a little bit. Paul Maurice has made, and this is, in large part to the fact that Pierre-Luc Dubois, as you mentioned earlier, Kyle Connor and Evgeny Svechnikov have really worked well together, and they're blossoming. You can also point to, Paul Stastny, Andrew Kopp, and that line there with Nikolai Ehlers, as well as we've talked about. That line is also blossoming. And so now you've had this situation where Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele have come back from COVID protocol. They've been placed with Adam Lowry, and now you have this kind of third line. And if you look at their top 9 now, usually the Jets were this top 6 team, very talent-heavy top 6, and then the third line was this kind of, quote-unquote checking line. Now the Jets have these 3 lines, and it's hard to match up against 3 very quality scoring lines in the NHL. The Jets obviously don't really have a 4th line, and they kind of rotate guys through that. But when you have this kind of 3-pronged attack coming at the opposition, it's very difficult, especially at home, where the Jets are on this season-long 7-game homestand right now, to sort of line match. If you're the opposing coach, very difficult to do. The Jets can throw out all different types of looks at you during games with these 3 lines. And I think this is something that Paul Maurice is really kind of enjoying now, especially having Scheifele back in the lineup now and Wheeler, that they can really start to impose their will offensively through their top 9, and something that they haven't really been able to do for, the last several years now.
I think it's been excellent to see Svechnikov be one of those reliable players in that top 6 or that top 9. The ability to have some of those players that maybe wouldn't be able to drive a line themselves, that's what good teams do. You can put a player in a position to, really fill in a spot alongside some line drivers. And Evgeny Svechnikov is, looking pretty good in the early going here of the Winnipeg Jets season. You mentioned that season-long 7-game homestand, that next game being Friday night, 7 o'clock, another Central Division matchup. Good to be back to these games on Friday night at 7 o'clock against the Blackhawks. It's not all positive, Scott. There are drawbacks to going 11-7, and, well, you have an opinion on what that might be for the Jets.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is that you're taking away a 4th-line opportunity for somebody like David Gustafsson. I think David Gustafsson has earned the opportunity to, get onto that 4th line and show that he can force Paul Maurice's hand to play him in that 8 to 10 minute region every night. The downside, I suppose, is that other guys would lose minutes, and I think that's part of it. But you're only playing Nathan Beaulieu, who's that 7th defenseman that comes into the lineup. He's only playing about 4 minutes a night, and people argue, okay, well, he's playing PK minutes. And that is true. And he has helped a little bit on the PK when it comes to that. But I just wonder, does that fourth line help the Jets long term to keep some of their, aging guys, let's say Paul Stastny, Blake Wheeler, from having to play too many minutes and getting too gassed throughout the season? So, towards the end of the year, they're just not in that, they're more in the 10th to 13th round of a boxing match than they are, in the middle rounds where they're still effective. And I just wonder if that's going to be a long-term issue. Paul Maurice has talked about being cognizant of that, and that's something that they're going to have to figure out. I think a large part of this kind of 11-7 setup right now is still a little bit experimental, if you will. But I think that, that's the one concern down the line is David Gustafsson not getting the opportunity that he's earned or that he deserves. It's great that he's playing 20 minutes a night down in the American Hockey League, but we do wonder if he should be playing more in the NHL, in that fourth line role where the Jets have kind of, developed him for. And maybe they don't need as much Nathan Beaulieu in the lineup, but that will also depend on their penalty kill getting better. So I do believe there is kind of a drawback there. But what you want to see is, if the Jets are winning and they're 5-0-2 in their last 7 games, it's hard to, make an argument against kind of changing that up right now. But if something does change, I think you might want to start looking back at that traditional 12 forwards and 6 defensemen and try and get David Gustafsson in the lineup to see what he can do.
We'll be watching closely as this homestand continues and the Winnipeg Jets jockeying amongst the top contenders in the Central Division in the NHL right now. Thanks for joining us, Scott, here on Bonfire Sports. Out there, be sure to like and subscribe, ring the bell, hit up the comments. We'll get to your questions in future videos here on Bonfire Sports.